Advocate Vrinda Grover, why do we see that generally riot culprits, whether in Gujarat or Assam or Rajasthan or recently in Muzaffarnagar, they go scot-free?
Well, there are two kinds of riot culprits we should first see. One are those who are perpetrating the actual violence, who are killing people, injuring people, burning, looting, raping. Now, these people are regular citizens. They are not necessarily state officers or police officers or politicians or any other public servant. We have seen that in the past, some of these are sometimes arrested if the investigation is done properly, and they may even get convicted after many, many years. We saw that in post 1984 and even post 2002 in very few cases. The reason why most of them, even that crowd, if we are unable to see any conviction, is that we have an investigating agency which I believe there is an institutional bias against religious minorities. And we are refusing to acknowledge that. We have an entire police force which is to a very large extent biased against the Muslims. Until and unless we are going to acknowledge that and put measures and oversight mechanisms to ensure that the investigation is done properly, the kind of case that is going to be produced in court is going to be very, very weak, and people will escape. There is another category of culprits which I think require greater attention. These are people who are in positions of state power. It can be a police officer of any rank, right up to a senior rank. It can be somebody in the executive, a minister, a chief minister, an MLA, or it can be a DM, it can be an SHO, it can be any other public servant. This category of persons, to my mind, the law is very weak. We actually need a new law, which many of us have been campaigning for, that there should be a law against communal and targeted violence. Under that law, these people should be held accountable and they should be held criminally liable. This can be done in law through introducing concepts like command and superior responsibility, by making new offences. These people will be held criminally liable if the law is changed towards public servants. And to my mind, it is this layer which is most important to be held answerable. If they want, there can be even a communal flare-up, which can happen in India. I do not deny that there is discord between communities and there can be an outbreak of communal violence. However, those people sitting in state power and position have enough power today to control it, to prevent it, to stop it. The fact that Muzaffarnagar flares up in this manner, the fact that there were meetings allowed to be held with weapons, clearly shows that many persons in administrative power and authority and political power and authority are directly responsible for allowing this to happen, for dereliction of duty, for culpable inaction, and they should be held liable under law and criminally responsible for this.
Right. Woman is the first and the biggest victim of any criminal act we have seen since independence, even before independence also. Rape is used as a tool to torment the victims. So how do you think the rape victims, particularly we have seen in Muzaffarnagar also, they can get justice?
It's very, very difficult. For many reasons, rape survivors and victims, as we know, even under ordinary times, find it very hard to get justice, not only because of the way the investigating and legal process is, but also because of the social stigma, etc., that is attached to this. During a situation of communal crime, it becomes even more difficult because there's a lot of effort made both by state authorities as well as by the more powerful community to suppress. It's the only way it can happen is if there is an enabling environment provided, which is the responsibility of the state, whether it is of providing witness victim protection, whether it is of ensuring that the testimonies are recorded properly, of ensuring that they have the wherewithal to go and depose, their statements are recorded properly. All this is the responsibility of the state, in the absence of which it's a very heavy burden to place on the woman to go and depose and to fight this battle alone. I would, however, say that there is also responsibility of the community to make sure that they stand by a woman who's fighting for her justice and not to attach any stigma or shame, but rather to see her as a representative of the community and to allow her to depose courageously.
Right. As for proceeding of legal justice is concerned, we have the experiment of Gujarat 2002 on our back. So how do you think these victims in Muzaffarnagar can get justice?
I think in Muzaffarnagar, we can see even today that there is a lot of evidence available, whether in the form of photographs, whether in the form of testimonies. It is very important that there is no delay that is done. FIRs are lodged. Wherever the victim is, the police needs to go there. The victim's testimony must be recorded accurately, and there must be oversight being maintained both by senior officers as well as by the victims directly. The affected persons must have access to what is being recorded in their name. Courts need to be set up. People need to be arrested. Until and unless we see arrests taking place, why would anybody want to come out and give evidence? We need to understand that in Muzaffarnagar in particular, a lot of the fear is also because you do not know what the future holds for you. At least a minimum of 50,000 people have been internally displaced. A very large number of them are economically dependent on the community that has attacked and assaulted them. For these people to have the courage to go and file cases, to go and give testimonies in court against the people who provide employment and livelihood for their entire family, it is very essential that the government links the aspect of justice. And when we talk of justice in a more comprehensive manner, justice is not only about criminal justice. Justice includes compensation, rehabilitation, reparation, restitution. If I am to go ahead and fight for my right and say so and so has attacked, raped, killed, burned, it's very important that the government should make sure that I have alternative housing, I have alternative livelihood, my children have a school to go to, I have a future and my family has a future. In the absence of that, it will not be possible for individual victims to go and file complaints against those who are economically more powerful than them.
Do you find clear sign of lack of political will on the part of ruling and opposition parties, first to check the violence, and if it happened, then to punish the culprits?
Completely. I think the Mahapanchayat and others were clear instances. Surely there is enough policing on the ground to show when a gathering like this is taking place. What is the objective of that gathering? What kind of weapons are being collected? And thereafter to allow that gathering to disperse in a manner that there is complete mayhem that is created and people are attacked along the way. I think we see that it's not just lack of political will. I would say that this abdication is a sign of complicity, whether through an act of omission or through an act of commission. When governments do not exercise power, their complicity is clear. To now come forward and say we will give this kind of compensation, this is all public money. It's not money coming out of any individual chief minister's pocket. So even those who claim that they are secular parties, that they are here to protect and ensure that the rights of the minorities in this country are protected, we see very clearly that they are abdicating their responsibility. The Muzaffarnagar violence could have been prevented. If not, it could at least have been controlled. What we see now is that if the political establishment and the administrative authorities are saying that they could not do anything, I think then they themselves are confessing that they are incompetent. In which case we should ask them to please leave. Whichever SHO, whichever DM, whichever SP feels that he could not handle the situation, he should be asked to leave his position and let more competent officers take over, because these are situations where violence could have been prevented and controlled. And very clearly now we need to see what are the measures they are going to take to ensure that the people who have been harmed, who have been injured, who have been killed, and the very large numbers who have been displaced, their restitution is the exclusive responsibility of the government.
Last question, madam. Muzaffarnagar is not the solitary communal violence. In fact, in the last 9 years of Congress ruled UPA, we have seen several riots from Assam to Rajasthan to Dhule in Maharashtra. And in every riot, large scale human rights and human loss is taking place. You know, several decades have taken for the victims to get justice in Bhagalpur in 1984 Sikh riot and also over 1 decade in Gujarat. So what is the way out for the victim minorities? How they can get justice speedily?
I think we need to do two things. We need to very clearly assert to the political powers that justice is central to any governance. There can be no model of governance in this country where justice is not central, whether it is justice for women, or it is justice for minorities, or it is justice for caste victims. Justice has to be central to any form of governance that will be acceptable to the people of this country. Secondly, no lip service should be allowed. We do not want people coming post riots to come and say, see what has happened and what can be done for people. These are all, we have seen repeatedly that this targeting is part of a political plan.
Right.
And the third thing, which I would reiterate, the UPA had in 2004 promised that a communal violence, a bill to prevent and protect against communal violence will be passed. It is important for UPA, if it at all has secular credentials, to pass that law, because that law will send the deterrence to every SP, to every DM, to every SHO, to every minister, that if you will not do your work, if you will not perform your statutory duty and exercise your power to protect those, and it can be anyone, not just minorities. Even in Muzaffarnagar, we do know that on a smaller scale, members of the other community have also been killed. Whoever is killed, you have to stop that killing. And if you will not do that, if you will not exercise your power, you will be held criminally responsible. I think it is important for people who actually believe that everybody's rights need to be protected, that we must ask for the passage of the communal violence bill before the term of this government is over.
Thank you very much.